Howdy folks, it's your lovable GM, Jonathan. You're listening to Demon Dayz, an actual play podcast with a focus on fiends and the friends who play them. We are so excited to share our latest episode, but first I wanted to give a shout out to our sponsor ArcKnight, whose props, maps, and minis make our game a delight. They've released a new Kickstarter featuring hardbound support for the 5e starter set Lost Mines of Phandelver. This includes custom maps and minis as well as a new carrying case, which is of great interest to me. Been trying to figure out how to store all my minis, and let's just say it's getting a little frustrating. So go check out their campaign and nab yourself some of the best maps and minis this side of the tabletop. That's ArcKnight. Also want to give a shout out to Gord McAlpin, who did the artwork for our show, as well as KiloWhat, who created some absolutely amazing portraits of our horny heroes. Finally, I want to give a shout out to Michaela Garrison, who edited this week's episode. You can find her over on Insta at Michaela J. Garrison, and her dog Arrow over there as well at Arrow Perro. And now, on with the show.
Friends, fiends! Oh, I see you have a nice barrel of ale waiting for me. Lovely! Let's get right to it, shall we? When last we spoke, the party boarded the sky ship and got acclimated to the crew. By which I mean Fetter got into a bit of a fight with his dad. After that, they decided to check in with the captain to figure out his deal. And that's where we'll pick up here, in these Demon Dayz.
Afternoon turns to evening as the crew of the sky ship Phoenix Blade finish their preparations to leave the Shadowlands. The cracked Skirl gemstone is replaced with some degree of effort, and the mage's unconscious body is gently carried down to her quarters for the remainder of the day. There's a distinct lack of urgency to everyone's actions aboard the ship, but they still go about their tasks with singular focus and precision. Cleckthaw helps where he can and preps his station near the helm of the ship. Captain Horatio Blatt sits at a small desk within his quarters, poring over a map of the continent. The desk is small in comparison to him. Leysa, Taslinn, you guys find yourselves at the threshold to the captain's quarters, wishing to make an audience with him. Yusuf and Fetter, are you guys with them, or are you guys out and about on the ship?
Okay, listen, I know you guys want to go talk to the captain. I'm particularly good at sniffing out bullshit, but I know that some of my actions may have kind of salted that water, but I want to be close, because I'll be able to tell that he's lying almost immediately. I don't know, what do you think? I can try to overhear it, just be close, try to hide outside.
I mean, come in with us, just don't talk.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
That's fair, right?
Sure, strike a intimidating presence over there in the corner, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, just pout and look contrite. Something.
Sure.
Basically just have your normal face.
Yeah, so... Wow. Wow.
Glad you're feeling better, Taz.
Yusuf, how about you?
Did I know that y'all were going to go talk to him?
Yeah, we talked about it at breakfast, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something's weird about this. We need to figure out where we're going next, but I don't love that they're going to...
Sky Point.
And I don't love the crew seems off.
It's odd, the collection of them, all of them have ties to something, there's something off.
They talk about kind of what my people talk about, you know, keeping this plane free and clear of disturbances, right and wrong, that sort of thing. Mm. But no one is from this plane, except, your dad, and he, fathered a kid from another plane.
Yeah.
Well, and didn't they say they came from, how do you say it?
They said they came from another continent.
No.
Thekfa.
They said that they chased the riders from Phlegathos, right?
They said
Which
the riders were
continent.
from... No, they said the riders were from...
I thought they had said
Phlegathos.
that they chased them from Phlegathos, and that's the word that I was looking to remember how to pronounce.
There's a continent that they're all from. I'm
Okay.
trying to remember what it is.
I missed that then, because I was gonna be like, how did you come from Phlegathos on planar switching? Okay.
You brought a whole ship through? God, someone must be tired.
It's far to the east, right, John?
Yeah.
The
West, I thought, wasn't it?
Sorry, west.
west of the continent.
Yeah. Quite a ways to the west.
What race is the captain again?
GIF. Giff.
Okay.
Kind of a hippo race of people.
Are they from this plane?
Yes.
That's also where It's not Candace. It's still not Candace. Constance?
Cadence.
There we go. It's also where Cadence's village was from, as I recall.
It was Horatio's village.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Horatio had the village destroyed. Because fuck all if I want to share something in common with Cadence.
Yeah.
Horatio does notice you guys at the doorway by now. Come in, he states. I trust we have some matters to discuss. And you guys enter. It's just a normal captain's quarters, a little bit more sparse than you might expect. Or maybe it just feels like there's not much in there because he is such a big presence inside of it. He's still poring over maps and doing his best not to knock anything over. Horatio looks up at you guys. How can I help you?
Well, so you guys found us. We got attacked by these 9 riders. It's a little crazy. Just wanted to know a little bit of where you're coming from and more importantly, kind of where you're going.
I see. Well, I can give you the condensed version, since we're going to be heading out in a little bit for Edgewater. I am what they call a GIF. I'm from the continent of Trendle. He points in the general direction west of the map he has. He's only got, you see a map in front of him of Valdarian itself, quite a ways to the west. The land I'm from is embroiled in a civil war, has been for as long as any of us can remember. There's always 2 sides, the Congregate and the Bascavend. I myself was once part of the Congregate. We were the dominating force of the whole continent, the ruling class of people. I thought it might be beneficial to use a technology that was in its infancy to win the war. I wasn't interested in a continued skirmish over years upon years with no end. That was refused, so I stole it. And this is that ship. That is a little bit about where I'm from. Now where we're going, we are going to Sky Point in Dominion territory. We were summoned a while back by the king of that territory. His name is... He looks up to think for a little bit. Broder Lugarius. He wants to meet us in regards to our flying ship. He has taken an interest in that technology, and seeing as I've never been here, I've decided I'm interested in seeing what kind of a man this fellow is. What is his measure? Now, us going there by our lonesome could be a trap. He could attempt to take the ship from us, or he could be honest and just wish to understand the logistics of our ship, its construction, how it's made, and we wouldn't begrudge that. And if he has a good price, we can give him that information. The only downside is, since our ship and our technology is in its infancy, it is also not perfect. We've needed to employ the heavy use of a hemomancer to keep this technology afloat. Obviously, it takes a lot of power to take a vessel like this and make it levitate, let alone fly any distance and propel itself. We can use wind to help it, but it puts a great strain on these crystals. It's something that we mine heavily on our continent, and they have Vanessa, the mage, would know more about their origin since she interfaces with them directly, but it is a resource we mine, and it is not a very prominent resource. So again, I'm curious what the king in the Dominion wishes from our technology, what he hopes to accomplish, and frankly, if he wants a tool to win whatever war he's on, that doesn't matter to me. I have other things to deal with.
Okay, first of all, insight check.
Sure.
Yeah, ear for deceit.
Can I do an arcana for these hemomancers?
Sure.
14.
14.
See, this is why I love ear for deceit, because I rolled a natural 1, but that actually becomes an 8. So, becomes a 14.
14.
Class skills at work, gang.
I'm going to give you advantage for the insight check.
Okay. I mean... Oop. Wow. In the tray. Thanks,
Okay.
Wormwood.
In the trade, people.
Cool. So, 17, that's 26.
There we go.
He is on the level.
I got an
Okay.
18 for arcana.
You know a little bit of the blood magic that he's speaking of, although that term hemomancer is not necessarily widely used in this continent, at least. A lot of the mages here will tie into a deity or some sort of magical force, but these hemomancers are playing in a little bit of a different territory. They're utilizing their life essence, their blood, to propel the magic, which is still very young, and you know enough at least to know that it's not trustworthy because of that. So the fact that they have something here, this ship that is powered by it, must mean that there is a heavy strain put on whoever is powering it.
You didn't answer my question, Captain, with all due respect. I asked how you got tangled up with the riders, and what you were doing here, and why you ended up here, at this tower. This is not Dominion territory.
I see. If you will forgive me, some of that is a little on the personal side, but seeing as we've been through a lot together, I can relay this to you. I hail from a village, a fishing village from Trendle. It's within congregate territory, so I lived a much more peaceful life before I got into the war effort. The village was razed and destroyed by these riders. He sighs and pauses for a long minute. You almost want to say something, but then he picks back up again. So I enlisted. I thought fighting would fix whatever was wrong, but I've come to realize it was revenge. Revenge and order. And I can get to that maybe when we have more time, but perhaps let us put a pause on this, get the ship going, head back to Edgewater. I need to collect my thoughts on this.
While all of that was happening, and I'm kind of second rank behind them, I am on a perception level with an eye for detail.
Sure.
Casing the entire place visually, looking for safes, anything hidden, anything out of place.
Yeah, everything looks to be organized in tip-top shape. The main thing you notice and cue in on is the casual nature that everyone is working. They seem to not necessarily be at ease, but this isn't a stressed environment. There's an organization to what they're doing. They're all moving from place to place, putting things around, and everything is in its place. There's nothing out of the ordinary, at least on this top level of the ship.
All right, we're in his quarters, right?
Yeah, you're probably just at the doorway, so you do see a main chest in there that has a heavy lock.
Okay.
And then his papers that you notice, when you peek in, you see as he's engaging with them, he's shifting the table around with his weight a little bit, and you can see the papers moving. He has a few other maps, and there's even a map of Trendle underneath, just kind of tucked underneath. The one of Valdarian looks like he's focused on this continent. He's got access to a map maker, a map cartographer.
I'm really interested in this order, in the order that you're pursuing. My people, I'm from a monk order that values sort of a more isolationist view of the plains, yes?
Okay.
And it seems, based on talking to your crew and seeing what you do here and the way you were chasing down the riders, we might have common interests. So...
Yes, I would very much hope so. This conversation, I admit, would go differently if I knew you were in line with them, those riders. Again...
I'm the opposite of in line with them.
That is good to hear.
Yeah.
Did it look like we were in line with them at the top of the tower?
I've come to not 100% trust what I see and to challenge it at any time. You know how magic can go sometimes, and things of an infernal nature tend to be a little on the tricksy side.
You said you weren't there when your town was destroyed. You weren't there. You told me you weren't there.
I wasn't there at the village,
So
but I only saw it after.
How did you know it was the riders? How did you come across that information?
He reaches back as best as he can. He knocks a few things over and grabs a medallion that looks older, a little bit more rusted. These.
This is like one of the three that we have.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I just bend over and pick up what he dropped on the floor? I just want to see what it is.
Loose papers.
What do they say?
They are logs of materials and supplies. So they're not that interesting.
Everything about this man is interesting right now.
For Leysa, yes, very much so.
Beyond just the species of it, you said the infernal things are tricksy, but wasn't Cadence one of your first crew members?
Taslinn rolls her eyes.
How'd you come across your crew? This is because it's not. There's no particular order to this crew. You are all very different. It seems collected.
A order from chaos, you might say.
Do you mind if I see those?
The medallions?
Yes.
Yes, you can see them.
How many does he have?
Just 2.
Are they 2 of the one? Like, do we have the same ones?
Well, I'm gonna inspect them and find that out right now.
Hey, go ahead, inspect them.
Order from chaos, what do you mean?
Well, you are right. Our crew is very disparate. I've collected a strange grouping of people. And from that, we've formed into a unit.
How'd you find them? How did you meet? You're an outlaw. Are they all outlaws?
I'm going to give Taz advantage on this roll.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm
kind of keeping
way,
him
yes.
talking because I want you guys to be looking like that's clear, right? I'm just okay.
His attention is starting to he's starting to try to keep track of all of you who are engaging and doing
and
stuff.
I kind of just keep. I move pretty quickly and fluidly, so I just kind of try to keep in his eye line and I'm trying really hard to get him to notice because this is. It is very personal and very important to Leysa, but we're sneaky. Those sneaky infernal bastards.
I am not.
For the record, my visual perception of the entire room and anything hidden takes the time it takes for a bonus action. So I don't really have to...
Don't have to do too much.
Yeah, Mr. Ridiculous passive.
Yeah. So you don't have to talk to him for very long. And you sense, Leysa, that Fetter's already got what he needs out of it. Taslinn?
I rolled a 15, so plus 5 is 20. Dirty 20 for the medallions.
One of them is the same. It's the one from Belzalar, the Grudge. The other one is different and doesn't match with any of the ones you have.
Is it still an infernal?
Yes. You see that it's rusted over, it's older. So an older issue for Belzalar, meaning he's been sent back to his plane before.
Okay, so what?
Sorry, older as in like it's a new deployment of sigil, like new issue dog tags?
Yeah, new issue. Newer
like
issue.
the form has changed. So like
No, he's saying that he went back to the plane before, which means he's been killed before.
Right. What I'm asking is, does the medallion look completely different? Kind of like when the armed forces change out their BDU colors. Like it's a different loadout.
He said it was the same.
It's the same. It's more akin to a slightly updated design of it. So like more of like if it's a flame is more angular or jagged, it's a little bit smoother curve. So it's the same in structure and placing and all that. It just looks a little bit more rudimentary or aged, I guess is.
Okay.
It's not as drastic of a change.
Okay.
But you guys aren't all outlaws. How did you find your crew?
Well, let's hold that thought. If we want to get to Edgewater in a good amount of time.
I'm gonna slip these medallions into one of my bags when he's focused on Leysa.
Sure.
Cool. Yeah, I definitely want to sit down.
Roll the sleight of hand.
19.
Not bad, yeah. You successfully do that. He does not notice. Again, Leysa's kind of bouncing in his vision is really working hard to keep his attention.
There's a great little tavern in Edgewater run by this awesome Firbolg, so you should definitely let's meet up there once you've docked.
Well, and also this trip to Edgewater, and he points at the map, that's going to be about 13 hours. So we're going to have some time on this ship flying.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'll be back then. I'll let you get off the ground.
Yes. Everyone.
I don't think that we met officially last night, but I'm Leysa, by the way.
Horatio. Captain Horatio Blatt. And he does a gruff nod. Now, if you all exit first, I cannot slip by you. I must get up to the helm. And he scoots out from his station. You get the sense that, the whole stealing the ship tracks a bit, at least in terms of things just not fitting him. Eventually, you all get out of the captain's quarters, and he goes up to the helm where Klekthah is standing at attention, just very straight, rigid like an arrow, just ready to go. You ready, sir?
I'm going to follow him up to the helm.
Sure. You get up there. He takes his place beside Klekthah, and in a booming voice declares, "All hands, ready to depart." The crew responds in kind with a shout, and Klekthah begins. He adjusts the levers nearby with mechanical precision. Just as he finishes, the ship rises with a bit of a lurch. You hear oh shit, underneath his breath, and he quickly recovers, pulls a few more levers, and turns a few dials. The landing gears underneath you, you feel the rumble as they retreat into their compartments.
Real quick, before we take off, I'm assuming we broke camp and everything and pulled all our stuff on?
Yeah.
Okay. I would have asked if Gallahan could join us. If not, I would have dismissed him.
That was approved.
Okay. Then he's on the ship.
When you did that, there were some weird looks from the crew, but everyone else seemed pretty fine with it.
Okay.
You get a sense that they're not too weirded out by new things.
Okay.
So
I lean over to Fetter and be like, he is a giant elk.
Yeah, tracks.
Do you think it will get along with Shenzaban?
He is a giant elk.
I'm so
giant.
jealous. I'm so jealous.
the ship gains altitude.
It's definitely compensating.
You're not there.
Guys, all the animals are really cool, but I think before I go chat with our captain again, this is weird, right?
Seems weird.
Is anything in our lives not weird?
Yeah, but this is bad weird, not fun, you meet friends weird, like this whole adventure has been.
The timing of the whole thing still weirds me out, but...
The timing and just your dad seemed so sad. No offense. Is he always like that?
Not historically, and it's kind of hard to hate him at this point.
And that Jin washing dishes, that's just wrong, right? They don't wash dishes.
Yeah, who knows?
Hold that thought, because the ship is rising and heading forward. While you guys are doing that, the ship makes its way up, gets to a good height around where the fog cover is, and starts making its way forward. A lot smoother than it raised off the ground, and you hear Klekthah sigh with relief, as he has almost nailed it. And yeah, you guys move forward, and the ship is traveling back toward Edgewater. You have 13 hours.
As we come up and we start heading back to Edgewater, I'm going to give a look to Stoyle and be like, you want to look and see if he's down there with his boat?
Squirrel nods. Oh yes, let's give it a try. Let's see. How did we bet again?
If he left to get provisions and came back
to wait
for us.
Yeah.
How would you know that unless you were actually, you know?
Well, if we
talking to
see him, I'm gonna ask the captain if we can go down a little bit to tell him to head back, so he's not still waiting for us.
Well, if he's there, I could shoot a bow, an arrow off of his, like into the ship with a little note or something if you want to write a note.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And we could just do a drive-by, freak him the fuck out.
I mean, I approve of this plan.
Yeah. No, I like busting his balls a little bit. What do you mean a little bit? All the time.
Yeah, let's do it.
Does anyone have fairy fire by any chance? Shit. Because then we could actually know if it was him by casting it just in the general direction of where we think he might be.
Does he not like fairy fire?
No, but just it would help us know if he's there. Or something to know that he's around.
Oh.
For aiming purposes.
Got it.
I mean, we've still got the signaling rock, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
We do. Yeah.
Although if he gets that, he might stay out there longer and... She laughed. We shouldn't do that to him.
I agree. We should not.
Let's keep an eye out.
Yeah, keep an eye out.
Yeah. She goes to one end of the boat and just chills over in that direction.
Standing next to Horatio, they're like, so... Your plan is to take this ship to the Dominion and try and sell it to him?
Not the ship. We have a prototype that we will pass along if the price is good, and if this King Lugarius is a man of his word and does not try to attack us. From what I gather, they don't have the technology to do much, so if they try anything funny, we have a pretty good means of escape.
Well...
And he grunts. I do appreciate that is a little trusting.
It is, although I have it on good authority that... They just captured and enslaved an entire village of gnomes, probably to use as slaves or indentured servitude, and to gain their technology, which actually tracks if they don't have much of their own. So, from a general sense, I'm not very cool with that idea, and if you and I feel the same way on some things, I feel like maybe you'd feel the same way about that.
This might be worth discussing in our travel while we have time. I do not know the politics of this continent nearly as well as I know my own and a few others. And we can discuss this in the...
We'll chat.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of periodically posting up, and I want to start mentally tracking shift changes, who's posted where, when they're posted, who goes in and out of the captain's quarters, where the captain is most of the time. Like, I just want to get a very good sense of timing. I feel like for 13 hours, there's at least one shift change that's going to happen. Yeah. I just want to collect as much of that information as I can.
Sure. And during that whole time, you are able to gather that there is about one shift change. They don't seem to do it at a very specific time, so much as...
They're like hot racking. Like
yeah.
They're just like, yeah.
You notice that they have a keen sense of how each other is doing. As they start to tire out, the other shift comes in, relieves them. And there's a sense of a little bit more of a camaraderie there. Less so than ding the bell, shift change. It's a little less rigid in that way, but surprisingly in sync. They seem to be able to anticipate each other, how they feel. Throughout this, Horatio spends a lot of his time in his quarters, between his quarters and the helm, keeping track of where they're going, conferring with Cleckthaw, who is very into what he's doing. Now that you guys are traveling forward, it's a little misty above the ship. The mist seems to be lifting, the fog is lifting. So you get a better view of the ground, which will help Yusuf, you and Skoil search. It's making the movement forward a little tough, but Cleckthaw has these goggles that he has down that have like an extended lens, like lenses that go out about maybe a foot. Looks kind of ridiculous, but he's living for it.
Just the layout of the ship. I know we had the map for the combat with the 3 masts, and there was kind of a raised platform for the helm. Where's the captain's quarters in relation to all of that? Like, how does that lay out?
It's directly underneath the helm and to the left a little bit. There's 2 compartments down. So you've got the quarter deck where the helm is, and underneath it, there are 2 bigger rooms. One is the galley for the food, and the other one is his quarters.
Okay.
And you get the sense that it's a little bit bigger in that eating area. There's also some space in the lower deck where people can eat. They've got the cook station down there and a few other tables. So they've kind of spread out a little bit in terms of that eating place. So that's kind of the basic layout there. He'll come out, go up the stairs, and come down. And as he does so, the ship shakes a little bit. As you guys travel, the day starts to wind down. Yusuf and Skoil, do a perception check as you're looking over.
Not a lot, like 9.
You hear a "hot damn" from Skoil. Yusuf, come over here.
Go over to her.
Yeah, write something down, and she gets her bow and arrow out. It's him. He's waiting.
I'm gonna write, "All is well. Return to Edgewater. We're heading there now. Above you."
Okay. All right.
Yusuf.
She ties it around the arrow and takes aim and shoots the arrow, and it goes true. It lands right in front of his feet as he's walking out, looking up, being like, what the fuck is that thing? And the arrow hits. As the ship passes, because it doesn't slow, you hear a, what the fuck? echo in the mist. And Skoyle laughs. That was worth it. That was worth getting beamed in the head by weird tree trolls.
Kind of.
She gives you a high five and
Laugh, give her a nod and high five.
And then she goes over to the front of the ship and just chills at there and watches the path ahead.
Okay.
And yeah, the day starts to wind down a bit.
Can I, like, talk to some of the crew while
Absolutely.
we're traveling?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to go see this djinn that was, like, making food and washing dishes. Do you want to come with me, Taz?
I want to go find Vanessa.
Yes, that too. That's on my list. Which do you want to go to first?
I want to...
Do you want to
Vanessa.
divide and conquer?
Divide and conquer.
Okay, you've probably got more to say to Vanessa than I do. Also, she looked passed out. So yeah, I'm going to go talk to this djinn because she seemed rather dissatisfied and I just want to check on her.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Clarification point. It was a Ganassi.
Ganassi, sorry.
Yeah.
My bad.
It's okay. Most of the time, they look like Jin.
Cool. All right, so is she in the galley?
Yeah, she's in the bigger one where she's got a little bit more room to cook things down in the lower deck.
Hi.
She looks up. Yes.
How's it going? Do you need any help?
Actually, that would be nice.
Okay.
If you want to come back here, I am cleaning up after the lengthy meal.
Yeah, I totally help her start washing dishes.
Yeah. And you're closer to her, so you can you get a better look at her in general. You see little cracks in the smooth, polished obsidian look to her skin, and they look almost like fissures a little bit. There's a little bit of a heat underneath, a red glow that emanates from them. And you notice them a lot more now that you're closer to her. They just look like scars from far away, but you do see and feel some of that heat coming off of her. And you really notice there's like a shimmer through her eyes as well. It feels very different from when you were getting the food from her. It feels kind of oppressive.
I extend my hand before I start doing dishes, and I just introduce myself. Hey, I'm Leysa.
She reaches out and thinks about it for a second and then takes her hand.
What does it
And
feel
she's
like?
Really warm. Even for your infernal blood, it is very warm to the touch.
Cool.
You too are warm also.
Yeah.
Nice.
How long have you been on this ship? Why are you on this ship?
Oh, well, it is a bit of a story, but I can...
We're washing dishes, tell me.
That
Perfect
is
place for stories.
That is true. I come from a place called Celestial, a hidden continent beyond the north mists and the far sea, so far to the west, far to the north. I was kidnapped as a child and sent to work in Skirl mines on Trendle. Grew up without sunlight, made many escape attempts, but only found success when I stowed away aboard a ship. Apparently a ship that can fly. I mean, that's the short of it.
Cool. Do you like it here?
Yes.
It's
It's hard to compare. Everything was miserable before. So I do a task. I like doing the task. It pleases me. I like putting food together and preparing it and cleaning up and having one singular thing that I do. And
Do you want more, though? Like, what do you do with this freedom? I mean, you're free. You're free. You don't have to just do one task. You can do all the tasks. Or none.
it is not a thing I've thought about, to be honest. I have found a peace in doing things that are... She seems to struggle with the word mundane. That is how you say it in common, yes?
Yeah, there's beauty in that simplicity for sure. But life is big and long. You should just think about it, you know?
Sure. I feel like I have lived quite a lot early, and maybe I don't need to live nearly as much. But again, I like the way you speak.
Yeah. I'm assuming we're wrapping up dishes at this point.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna head back above deck, but it was really nice to meet you. And I'm just kind of put my hand on her face because it's a really cool face. Just kind of give her...
It feels really neat.
Yeah.
It's like that... It's
Flat face palm.
No, just like a nice, gentle, like, you know, just like kind of caress her cheek because
It
she's
does-
really cool.
It doesn't feel like skin. It feels like a very smooth stone. It is a different feeling. It's very neat.
Yeah. You should get out in the world, though. The world will be better for it. And then with a little flick of my tail, I'm just going to walk away upstairs.
As I've been kind of on the deck, and occasionally I will just kind of fall in and help with whatever. I know that the technology is slightly different, but whatever classic kind of ship hand stuff, I will kind of fall into that pattern too and just kind of
Sure.
tidy and whatever. I am going to take a moment to myself and pull out the green journal.
Sure.
And in this cipher that I use for my mother,
Uh-huh.
I am going to, and the thieves can't write, waves will lap at water's edge, old serpents stand guard to keep their pledge.
And after you've written that, it takes a moment. It seems to be received. You get back something pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And all it says in very cold script is, everything under control, situation normal, report.
And who's that from?
It takes a minute, and then you see the letter P show up.
Mm-hmm. And then I'll write back in the family cipher. Let's see. Tour of shattered lands unfruitful, returning to Edgewater.
Okay.
Yeah.
Message sets.
Why not add some other people to this?
And Taslinn, we get to you as you make your way. You ask a few crew members, and they point you further down to the lower part of the ship, to one of the quarters down there. And you see Vanessa sitting up in her bed, hands holding her head like she's just got over a headache, elbows on the knees. She seems to be in a state of recovery, almost there. Looks like she's spent most of the day kind of in hangover mode, I guess. Oh, I'm sorry, I did not see you there.
Are you okay? I can always come back later.
No, I'm fine. I am due to get up anyways. I've had enough rest to get me through. She straightens up and does a little bit more of a performance to hide some of the discomfort. She's still recovering, you can sense, just with basic perception, but she doesn't seem too put out.
Okay. Well, if you're absolutely sure, I can always talk with you later if you are.
No, that's fine. We've got time, and I'm awake now. I'm getting there, you know?
I was curious about these crystals that are on the ship. Horatio said you knew more about them?
Oh, yes. Those things. Yeah, what do you want to know about them? Did he tell you where, like, we mine them in Trendle? Mm-hmm. They're a somewhat rare resource. They're harder to get. They're harder to pull from the veins in those mines. It takes a lot of effort. So they're very expensive. We don't have much of an export of them.
How exactly do they help the ship fly?
I'm trying to think of a kind of a corollary. Do you guys have soul, like stones that can hold like souls in them, phylacteries, things like that? Mm-hmm. It's a somewhat similar idea, except it's more a battery. It can hold magic and basically shoot it back out, or it can hold it and use it for power for a temporary period of time, sort of like a charge, if you will, which is why I'm here on the ship. I maintain that charge. It's a very strange sort of fuel, if you will.
How do you maintain the charge? I know Horatio said something about a hemomancer. Are you a hemomancer?
Yes. That is what I've been called. When I tried out the Academy life a long time ago, Academy of Magi, I think they called themselves then, they called me a hemomancer. It was very frowned upon. She holds up her hand, and you see it's very mangled but healed over with scars. I use the blood from my body to produce my magic, and I sacrifice some of my essence every time. So it's a little bit of a... Some would really take an issue with that, and that's kind of why I couldn't stay at the Academy, is because there's a very destructive nature to it. I'm on a timetable in terms of living. Nothing like in 10 hours I will die, but if I make a mistake in the amount of energy I expend for my magic, that's it. It could kill me. So there's a level of control and order and focus I need to have to really do anything with it. There's some basic lower level magic stuff that doesn't really pull from it. Basic spells and things like that any deity might provide, or just that exists in the world. But the stuff that has more of a oomph to it, more power to it, I do have to sacrifice some of myself for it.
So essentially, without you, the crystals are just crystals.
They are just storage, yeah, empty storage. It's one of those things where on Trendle, the congregate who had control of most of those mines there, they haven't really figured it out yet. And the big headway was me figuring out that I could interface my blood with it and produce more of a potent punch. And it helped this ship fly. Granted, my magic, I would hope, is not the only way to do that, because then that's not very sustainable. It'd be going through mages like they were paper, lighting paper or something like that. But for now, for this level of power, I need to give most of myself over to fill it with enough energy to get us to a destination.
I reach out and take one of her hands and gently run my fingers over the scars on her palms and say and how did you figure all this out?
Time, boredom, discovery. For the closed-mindedness of the Academy, they still gave me time to figure things out about myself. I was very fortunate to have a controlled environment to work with. I also read a lot of theoretical information about the effect of blood and magic and souls and kind of removing deities from the equation. And that I had to be a little bit more crafty to find out, but it took a while.
It must be a lot to manage the fear whenever you're doing magic of, will this be enough. Do I push myself too much this time?
Yeah, I don't... She pauses. I don't necessarily get over that fear. I've done it enough times in our current situation that I can have some semblance of hope I'll come back from it, but I generally don't know that I succeeded until I wake up. I've just been fortunate to find a very trustworthy group of people who will carry me to my room.
So you trust the people on this ship?
Yes. Some of it in the beginning was out of necessity. It's like, I have to do this magic, I did the magic, I'm now unconscious, what happens? But Horatio has always been our uniting force. And I don't know, it's hard to explain other than he does things a little differently. He's led, sure, by his revenge on those riders, and he's got complicated feelings about war in general, and he really hates stalemate. That's kind of what we had back in Trendle. It was a war that was never ending. No side could ever get advantage on the other. You know, if the Congregate got headway one year, they would lose it the next. And no one could ever win. And I think that got to him. Also the riders, too. That was...
I can definitely understand that.
Indeed.
He doesn't force you to do this magic with the crystals and keep the airship afloat?
No. In fact, I helped him figure this out. He got seriously injured, and I was able to, heal him. Part of the Civil War. No, I just had to go with him when he defected.
Would you mind if I saw one of these crystals?
Sure, I can show you right now the one that broke, that we fixed, that I spent just the previous day going over. I can take you to it.
I'd love to get a look at them and maybe study them a little bit more closely.
Oh, I see. I don't see why not. In fact, I have to, because the one that cracked, I have to break it down into small, it can't be used for our ship anymore, but it can still be used. That's something that maybe no one might know about these crystals, is that they still, shattering it doesn't end its ability to hold a charge, it holds less.
Interesting.
It's something we haven't wanted to test on such a big vessel as it's flying, or permanently ground ourselves. Somehow, miraculously, a broken gem, spherical gems, can still hold some degree of charge. It just depends on the nature of the break, kind of like how for chickens and a wishbone or something like that, you pull it apart, and if it breaks, one side gets a little bit more than the other that's broken. I can give you a piece if you want.
I'd love that.
Sure. She gets up a little wobbly. She tries her best to correct it and put on a little bit of performance. Doesn't do very well. And she rights herself.
I catch her a little bit, help her stand.
Thank you. Anyways, she guides you deeper to the bottom level of the ship, to a compartment. There are a few other chests, and you see a few more dull-looking gems. From what you can gather, just as looking at it, they seem like spares, for lack of a better way to describe it. And then in the middle, you see the broken one that is broken in a few different places. So there's about 3 pieces now from the one. She takes the smaller broken piece and hands it to you, but catches you like, oh, don't cut yourself, be careful, because it is very sharp and jagged. Part of what I do, she's very happy that someone's interested in this. What I do is I will cut myself in some way and apply the blood to it. Through the magic, it's essentially transferring my health to it, for lack of a better way to explain it. Mm-hmm. I haven't tested what might happen if you don't have the discipline for it. I've just been doing this sort of stuff for a long enough time that it feels natural. Experiment with it if you want. Keep it.
Sure, why don't we see? And I nick myself with the crystal.
Sure, it stings. You flinch and she grabs your hand and places it against it. And she pours a little bit of her own magic in your head as kind of a training wheel for it. Mm-hmm. And you feel a bit of an unexpected pull into the gem and take away 5 HP.
Oh, it's like my staff, but meaner.
Yeah.
Nicer.
You feel
nicer.
You feel Vanessa grimace as well, and she lets go. Okay. You see that the gem glows a little bit more. In terms of this particular gem, the way we cut it, just try to set it on the ground and see what happens. It doesn't land on the ground, it just floats a little bit above it. Right? I don't fully understand all the intricacies of it, but the magic through our blood applied this way gives this lift. Obviously, there are other machines and machinations on this ship that help propel us forward, because this isn't a propellant, but we can apply, and she grabs her hand again. She reaches for it, but then stops. Now let me just do it. And nicks it again and applies it, and then you see it starts to inch forward a little bit.
Okay.
If I do too much more, I won't have the necessary buildup of...
No. This is fascinating.
It's very new. I say it came from the academy, which would make it sound like I'm learned. I'm book learned, but I didn't finish. So a lot of this is...
Experimenting,
exploring.
I would love to be able to take a couple more pieces of a broken crystal if you have it. I'd love to be able to experiment myself.
Sure. Well, first of all, you can have that one that we just used. I would say find a place to store it because it's going to keep moving.
Oh, I have a place, and I pick it up and I put it in my bag of holding.
Oh, interesting. I assume that's one of those bags that can hold more than it looks like it can?
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, those are fun. I've never seen one in person, so I don't know. Glad you took an interest in this. I need to log the rest of this broken gem and fill out my report for it to send to the captain. And then, yeah, I can give you another piece or two.
I'm happy to help you catalog all this for your report.
Oh, sure. I would like to go topside for a little bit, though, and get some of the evening air. And then, yeah.
Absolutely, no problem.
Yeah, and she gently guides you out of the room, and as you leave it, you notice, if you want to give a perception for a little bit more nuance to it.
18.
You notice that she has a longer fingernail on her thumb and nicks her hand and brushes it against the door lock. And as she guides you out and up, she's like, give it maybe an hour or two, and then we can catalog it.
Absolutely.
It was nice to meet you. I'm Vanessa. Vanessa Darling.
I appreciate you giving me the last name. We've met before. You helped me stand when my companion was angry at the captain. That's a nice way to put it.
I did push some of that out of my mind. I was a little bit occupied later.
Understandably.
Yeah. Also, personally, I think it's good to have that tension sometimes. I don't know if you've noticed it, but we're all very in sync with each other, and sometimes a little friction doesn't hurt. I know some of the people on the ship, Drago or even Cadence, they need that shakeup. I think maybe even a little bit Horatio does. Him and I are a little too close for me to give him too much shit.
I understand that. Well, it was wonderful to meet you, Vanessa, darling.
Yeah, it was likewise. Nice to meet you as well. She nods and parts ways and heads up, looking back at you briefly as she does so to head to the edge of the ship.
Blood magic is gross, and I hate it. But hey, if it floats your boat, then you're gross and I hate you. Oh, I'm kidding. That's between you and your gods. Or devils, if you're awesome like our heroes. Anyway, that's the door and I will see myself out. Come back next time for another adventurous tale from these Demon Days.
But the smash is sex.
Yeah.
I am there for that.
Super Sex Brothers.
Oh, no, it can still be Smash. It'll trick a lot of people. Like, I thought this was fighting, but I guess this will work.
Somebody going deep for Kirby.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Got that Pikachu thing going.
Yeah.
Ness is going to PK fire everyone.
Oh, no.
PK fire!
I don't like where any of this went.
It's your fault.
That's the thing, is I'm willing to go there.
Still yoga trainer. Just yoga trainer.
Oh,
God.
I love that as a big fuck you that yoga trainer is like wildly OP in the game.
Oh, yeah.
They're just like, oh, yeah.
You don't like this one?
It's kind of like Jigglypuff in the original.
Yeah.
Oh. All right, that'll
Okay,
work.
thank you, everybody. That's a wrap. 7 a.m. crew call. We're back on stage 8 tomorrow.
All I was thinking about was the giggle loop. I was like, don't do it.
Oh, yeah. No, it's like as soon as you have to be quiet, suddenly you cannot be quiet. Then I realize that this chair creaks a little bit. My beard shouldn't rub against this.
Have you ever seen the TV series? It's actually British, called Coupling.
Some of it.
The giggle loop. Yeah. My favorite character from there, Jeff, has this thing called the giggle loop where you're in a situation where you shouldn't laugh. And then you think about, I shouldn't laugh. And then it's like, it just keeps going. I don't laugh right now. I shouldn't laugh right now. I shouldn't laugh right now. And then you end up laughing. You gave her a high five to the face.
No, it was a gentle caress.
No, it was very sensual.
Roll an
He's got
attack.
13 whole hours to try to get through the entire crew, including my dad, probably.
Ship orgy. I know what I'm doing.
Let's live deliciously for a while.
Wait, did you just
It's
imply that
definitely
your elk has a
compensating.
small wiener?
No.
No, he's saying that he does because the elk is compensating.
Oh,
for
it's like
him.
your Ford F-150 Raptor.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Cool.
It's a dually with an extend cab, yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
And fog lights.
of course.
Yeah.
And a light bar.
Perfect.
And a gun rack.
What would you need a gun rack for? You don't even have... No. Never mind.
Maybe with the elk. like-
Leysa caught a bullet, so she's definitely carrying a gun.
All right.
Maybe with the elk will make you feel better about Shenzo, Fetter.
So many goddamn animals.